I am Philip Olrik. I am responsible for business development and sales at Composhield. Composhield is a Danish company that has existed for, well, we soon have our 25th anniversary, so we are kind of a veteran in the industry. We are manufacturers of composite armor, add-on armor, standalone armor, blast protection, and we call ourselves the survivability solution specialist. Blast protection, especially now, is extremely important with all the new type of information we have gathered from the battlefield. Blast protection is when you protect the bottom of the vehicle in its essence against mines. Blast protection, you can also put it in the category of shrapnel protection. So if you have explosions next to the vehicle, almost on top of the vehicle, you have to mitigate a ton of fragment impacting the vehicle so the crew inside still is safe. Blast protection has evolved incredibly as modern threats has evolved additionally, so it has really affected the battlefield a lot. We have experienced an increased requirement for blast protection in conflicted areas, so it has evolved a lot and become a much more serious threat than it has before. Ballistic protection is where you have to mitigate a single shot, a type of shot which is specifically designed to penetrate such and such steel or armor, where blast protection is a total different beast. It is placed underneath the vehicle. Now I'm thinking in terms of testing. So the blast protection is something that kills the entire vehicle, where ballistic protection is something you mitigate on top of the vehicle, where the blast protection might be below the vehicle. What I would call the kind of civilian market is where you have a civilian vehicle, you need armored for transporting VIPs, politicians, congressmen, whatever. So that is kind of the side of the defense industry where you have these military vehicles that needs protection, obviously, because they go into these military missions. So the side of that is civilian, which is the civilian vehicles you will typically see out on the road, which additionally would need armoring for the police, for civilian embassy people, VIPs, and so on. Really depends on the threat, so it's hard to specify a single piece of material that is superior to the other one. It is typically a mix between different types of materials. For example, there's new materials, new technologies that mitigate a lot of the shock that comes through the vehicle. And the shock mitigation is the most important thing. It is not the blast that necessarily takes out the soldiers inside the vehicle. It is actually the shock effect that comes through the vehicle, where you would see a lot of technologies that is covering the entire floor with a shock mitigation mat, I would classify it as. And for our instance, we have bomb blankets mitigating a lot of the threats. We also have technologies and methods to mitigate a lot of the shock, but that is additionally in collaboration with other material suppliers. So it's hard to specify one material that is superior to another. When you have conflicts, things happen, terrible things happen, and you have to learn from that. And every single military organization take situations and learn from them. How can we do better to mitigate that? If you ask any military, they would do the same. Learn from not necessarily mistakes, but scenarios, how they can mitigate that for the future. And that is where we come in to kind of evolve and help mitigate that one, because they are good at identifying, maybe solving the issue, where we come in and realizing that solution. According to Standard 4569, there's a very strict testing plan, and if you want like the full testing plan, you have to read Standard 4569. How we do it is in collaboration with authorized test institutes, which kind of follows the protocol. We provide the base of the vehicle and they execute the test. That is easy. It is the most difficult one to incorporate in the vehicle. So a misconception that we have encountered is that we can naturally do so and so much after the vehicle is built. We can mitigate a lot, but the blast protection has to be built into the vehicle already. It has to do with the entire structure of the vehicle, not just something you can integrate afterwards. We can do a lot afterwards, but the best way forward is to integrate it into the vehicle already when you're building it, designing it.